The events of the night at the river on the 23rd of July, the year 2013, were very disturbing to me, which is why it's taken me almost a month to be able to document them. Part of it, the problem was that I was trying to use video programs that I wasn't able to get to work the way I wanted to. Anyway, that evening I arrived at the river and I expected to see the two Butterfinger bars just where I left them the week before, where they were the week before, since there's no way I could touch them to move them. Expected there would be nothing now or in the future to support any belief that Bigfoot was communicating with me. I thought that I should be prepared to admit to whatever YouTube audience I'd accumulated that this had all just been a dumb idea. I had received a camera handle in the mail and I put it on my Sunny CyberShot to take the photos that you saw in the Butterfinger video showing the yellow candy wrappers clearly, which this little Votto wasn't able to do. I had once again put a big Butterfinger bar on the hood of the car, made up my bed by folding down the seat that on the passenger side to make it flat. When I thought I detected a small spark of light where I had seen the light the week before. The week before it had been steady on for a while. This time it was a flicker that lasted only a second, and of course I thought I must have been mistaken. I began thinking at Bigfoot again. I said that if he could at least take the bars on the roof to let me know he was here, that would be nice. And if he left something on the edge of the roof where I could reach it, even just a leaf, I would know that it was him. If he wanted me to go away and never come back, then he should leave two leaves. I promised that I would not come back again, and I was mentally planning that if it happened, where would I stay the next week, since I had to be up there in the forest once a week. Then I saw another flicker of light. After about 20 minutes, I saw the flicker a third time. I had been there since it was light out, and there was nobody there. No one had come up and parked within a quarter mile. I couldn't, from either direction, see any other cars or people. No one had stopped their car in front of the restroom to use it. No bicycle riders had gone by. It was very quiet, and it was even quieter because I was the only one there. It's because I'm just across the road from the area where I considered where the flicker was. If anybody had spoken, it would have kind of echoed. And my windows had been open to let the breeze in the car, and there was just nothing to indicate that anybody was anywhere. I had promised a person who had commented on one of my videos that if I saw the light again, I would go check it out. There was only one problem. I did not want to go across the street to do that. I turned on the Votto camcorder to see how much light it threw off if I was to cross the street and check on the area where I saw the flicker. When I turned it on in the car, it was very brightly lit, and I couldn't understand how there could be that much light when the little monitor showing the area I was aiming at was completely dark. I knew the CyberShot monitor did not light up until you took a photo, so that would be the camera to take across the road to see what wasn't there, because there couldn't be anything there. I aimed the CyberShot out the window and snapped a photo of the direction the flicker had come. I figured that would at least give a picture showing what I could see from where it was sitting. I had promised not only the person that made the comment, but myself, that if I saw a light again, I would go check and see what was there. And I knew that there could not be anyone there. So it was no big deal to walk across the road and diverge for a minute to discuss some camera things. After this evening, when I went home and tried to download the photos and videos from the two cameras, some strange things happened. Now, I've had the Votto camera for several years. It has its own memory. You cannot add more with SD cards. It charges off of the USB port, and when you plug it in to charge it, it's easy to download any photos or videos. It's always worked completely perfectly. I don't use it heavily. So it's pretty much in new state, and it's always worked just flawlessly, which is why I really like it. The videos are saved in this camera as in the Votto as MP4s in the same, and they're in the same file folder with the photos, which are stored as JPEGs, and they list them there alphabetically, so it's, they're mixed in. Hang on here, I'm reading the text off the screen and doing the best I can. Okay, let's see. But when I downloaded them, one of the videos that I took at my 90-year-old mother's birthday a couple weeks before was saved as an AVI file, which was kind of strange because this always saved them as MP4s. One of the selling points of the Votto was that it's MP4s, uploads to to YouTube, just all clear and simple. Except that today when I was trying to set this up to do this, I found out that I changed the resolution so that it would save as an MP4. But everything had saved as an MP4, probably at a lower resolution. But now here's one that saved as an AVI file. Also, when I tried downloading, the camera, it kept like shutting off, and I got a message that there was some kind of corrupt file. I clicked to have the drive scanned for errors, and when it finished it said there were no errors. But it had crashed at least twice trying to download things, and what I found was that when I got it running, I could just, if I moved a few files over into the computer, I could just do them a few at a time, and I finally got it done. Now the CyberShot I only got recent, like maybe a month ago, and it was like brand new, and it was once I learned how to use it, it was very much problem free. I had to plug it in with a cord and then could download, but it was no big deal. But this time I had the same problems I had with the Votto. When I would plug it in and go to to where in my computer where it would show as a drive, it would show as a drive, but when I click on it, I'd get a message that says that the computer cannot read the drive, and do I want to format it? Well, I knew that wasn't right. Then I'd connect it again, and then it would show the drive, but then when I would click on it, and then it would crash. And then it started giving me the same message saying that it wanted to check for errors first. And I let it check, and same thing, it would say there were no errors. So, anyway, then it would go off, and I couldn't get it to go on again. Then I would unplug it, couldn't get it to go on again. So I changed the battery. Then it started up fine. When I plugged it in to download, some photos downloaded, but then there were 3 photos, and it said that they could not be downloaded because the drive was locked. Well, now, the SD card that I had, I took it out. It didn't seem to be locked, but I changed to another SD card. The same 3 photos were there, and saying that they couldn't be downloaded because the drive was locked. It was really getting weird. Anyway, eventually what I discovered was that those 3 photos, there was a little bit of memory in the camera where you could take 3 photos. And what I had to do was, eventually I had to delete them through the camera and not through the computer. So that makes it, the only thing is I'd been using this for a month and hadn't even seen them. Anyway, it was actually the next day that that I finally got it to download. But still, these things have never happened. And also, when I was okay, if you remember, I'd taken a picture in it of across the road. Well, when I got to the files that were for pictures, because this one kept video files in one place and then photos in another. There were some photos I had taken, other times there, and then the last one, which would have been that picture, was, it wasn't black, but it was like a gray, you know, and I mean no image at all. It was just, it was like if you were wearing like gray suede pants and you took a picture of it. And that was kind of strange. The thing is that I could tell myself, oh, if I have no evidence, I say, okay, it was all in my mind, not committing with Bigfoot, but you know, this was something. This was some evidence. Oh, also when I downloaded it, there were 2 files that said they were video files, but they had a file format that I'd never seen. The computer didn't recognize, the internet didn't recognize it. And eventually I deleted them, you know, nothing would open them. So, you know, what does that mean? I don't know. It never happened before. Now, when you consider what I have to tell you about what happened that evening, I think possibly these camera problems are part of the evidence you have to consider, because they didn't happen before and they haven't happened again. I've been using both cameras for other things and they work just fine. As a matter of fact, I uploaded stuff that I did with them, and you know, it's just completely fine. Now back to the evening of July the 23rd. As I said, I was sitting on the bedside of the car and reached for this cyber shot, which was by my knee. I never got to it. Now, you realize that I was going to get the cyber shot so I could cross the street and see what was there. And what I figured was, there's nothing there. I did see the flicker 3 times. Seen a lot of flickers in my life that don't belong, and that's just part of being me. But I just planned to go across. It was dark, take a couple of pictures, which it would have flashed, and then come back. And then I'd say, okay, nothing there. But my intention was to walk across the street when I picked up the cyber shot. As I reached for it, I felt a cramp beginning to form in my left leg. A few seconds later, it began forming in my right leg. Both legs had every muscle cramp up so tightly that I couldn't move. Now, I mentioned I had a bad knee, and part of that was occasionally I would get a cramp. And what I had found out when I would get it was that if I had some mustard, that would stop the cramp. And over several years, it might be every few months or something, I'd feel a cramp. Eat some mustard. As a matter of fact, I keep mustard by my bed, keep mustard in the car, and it always worked. Once in a while I need to take 2 doses, but believe me, taking a mouthful of mustard is not something I would ever do unless I had a very good reason. Well, it was like the godsend to get rid of cramps. Now, I would think that cramp was a bad cramp, but what happened in the car was something completely different. It was as if the Nazis were torturing me and applied electric wires that caused every muscle to camp up completely. I mean, they must have used this as a torture device. It was bad, and the muscles would cramp so hard that you knew some of them would be damaged and they would be sore for a long time. Okay, but it took me a while to even be able to move my arms, get the mustard. I tried the mustard, and I tried it twice, 3 times. It did nothing. This was not a mustard cramp. Also, the left leg didn't ever cramp. I mean, it's cramped in my life, but the problem that I had was in my right knee. And, okay, hang on, I'm going to scroll this. Oops. It was so, the cramps were so bad that it took me like a couple of minutes to be able to grab the mustard, to be able to move, to be able to breathe and think. And I couldn't move. And my toes were, if you've ever had a cramp where your toes get pointed and you can't uncramp. I've had that when I've had my normal cramps, which I almost love now because they're so nothing compared to what happened then. And what I would have to do was, I'd have to stand up, put my weight on the foot, and it would force the foot back into its normal thing. And then usually I'd have to maybe walk around a little bit, walk off the pain. But you know, normally by the time I did that, the mustard was kicking in, and it wasn't a problem. Besides that, I'm up there. If I could lean down to find my shoes, I'd have to open the door, put them down, put my feet in them. Well, I couldn't move like that. So what I did was, obviously, at least to me, something had to cause this. Now, part of the justification for the Thinking It Bigfoot project was the fact when people would get to a certain place and they'd feel uncomfortable, and sometimes if they kept going that direction, they'd get stomach cramps, but then if they turn around to go away from it, they would go away. You know, so there was the theory that you know, Bigfoot has some telepathy and some ability to affect people. And at the time I didn't think of that, but later on when I was thinking about it, okay, I'm sitting in my own car. That's my territory. And so to make me feel uncomfortable to go away, you know, I was going to stay there, but you know, I wasn't going to go away. That's where I stay, you know, on Tuesday nights. And okay, to give me stomach cramps, you know, so that if I went the other way, then they could go away, that wouldn't help. Basically, it was pretty much, well, you know, my feet were cramped too, but it was, most of it was the hips down to the knees. Was just, I mean, people say there's so many bad pains in one's child. Childbirth is nothing to this. I mean, I'd welcome childbirth compared to this. And anyway, I started talking out loud, saying that there was no reason to do this to me. I got the message. I'm not supposed to cross the road to look at anything. Well, the pain started easing. And after a while, I could move a little, sit up, open the car doors, I found my shoes, and managed to get my feet out and slip them into it. And then I stood up to put my weight on them and just moved around, you know, got it to where they were. But I was afraid if I took one step, whatever this would be thinking that I was going to go in that way. So now I think I was talking out loud, talking or thinking. There's nobody near me, so I didn't have to worry about anyone thinking I'm crazy. And I just kept saying, okay, I'm going to have to walk around the car to walk this cramp off. And I said, I will not take one step toward where you are. As much as I would like to, I will not try to photograph you, because I sure would have if I could have. But not if I'm going to get zapped again. After a few minutes walking around the car, I got back in to relax. And some of my muscles were, you know, they were uncramped, but some had cramped so hard that they were just hurting. Some that had uncramped kind of wanted to cramp again. And so I was concentrating on completely relaxing, if I could. And also trying to control my thinking, because right now I don't remember what I was thinking, I don't remember why, but all of a sudden it hit me again, and full strength, and I yelled, you know, that's not fair, I didn't do anything. Well, then the pain dropped. I still was sure there was no one across the road, you know, people couldn't be there without me hearing leaves crackle or something, and it was just so, I mean, it was a kind of silent. If I walked over and looked over the bank down the river, I probably would have heard frogs or something, but where I was, there was nothing, there was no sound. But I felt like someone was focusing on me and ready to fight, and this was not a nice person. I felt this hostility. I mean, weeks before, when I'm thinking, well, let's see, I wonder what, if I decided to put something out for Bigfoot, do a project, you know, what would Bigfoot like? And then when the word came Butterfinger into my head, that wasn't this person. That was a nice person who was fun, I think. But this one just wanted me to do anything to battle and show me that that I didn't have any control over what would happen. Now, I'm sort of, I probably had, I don't even remember if I had the radio. Usually I listen to Coast to Coast. But with George Norrie, I usually fall asleep. But listening outside, there was no motion, there was no wind, there was nothing, no sound. Then about 10:30, I was starting to drop off to sleep, and all of a sudden I heard a sound as if it was near the rear driver's side. And it was a kind of zip. It was like, it reminded me of the sound. I have a zipping luggage that rolls, and when I want to completely unzip it, there's a corner it's hard to get around, and it goes zip. It makes kind of a high noise. And so I heard that sound. And first I'm thinking, oh, it could be a bird, but then I realized that there's no birds. No birds were making any sounds, nothing. Sometime later, when I started to fall asleep, I snapped awake again, because it was like somebody had slapped that same fender. But there's nobody there. I knew there's nobody there. I don't want to go around saying invisible Bigfoots are doing stuff, but I just have to say, nobody was there, and these things were happening. So what that means about Bigfoot's capabilities, what can I say? I guess I don't have to try to decide something about that. I'd fallen asleep and I woke up and it was 11:30, and I heard the zipper sound again, only it was on the other side of the car, and it was zipping. It was like a low growl. Nothing I can do about that. Twice during the night I had to get out and walk around the car, walk around to stop the pain. And muscles would try to tighten up, and I'd walk it off and get back in. Every time I'd just say, okay, I'm not going to go a step in your direction. And while I'm in my car, now over the years that I've stayed up there, you keep a lot of different things if you're camping overnight, and I'm thinking, okay, there used to be some aspirins. And a long time ago, I used to carry, there was like half of a codeine pill. That was years before. And I'm thinking, couldn't I have some alcohol, anything, had there been something there, like there's a drawer under the front seat. It's a Honda CR-V. I couldn't have gone through the drawer. Okay. Next time I wake up, it's light out. I'm going to go to the restroom. And there were several muscles that were really bad. And after I got back from the restroom, I took the Butterfinger off the hood, brought it back into the car. I was really angry because I felt that there was some deliberate mistreatment here. And, what can I do? Well, I figure, what can I do? And I'm not usually into revenge, but I wished I could have done something mean. So I was trying to figure out what I could do. Well, somebody out there liked Butterfingers. So I began to eat the Butterfinger bar, slowly savoring every taste of the chocolate, licking it off my fingers. I was trying to mentally broadcast the joy of the sweet taste in every taste bud. And then I licked every morsel of chocolate off of the inside of the wrapper. And I hoped that any Bigfoot that loved Butterfinger bars were in agony over what they could not now have. I had another Butterfinger bar hidden behind the back seat where the top of the bed was. I found it and I ate that one too, slowly, deliberately, telepathically broadcasting every relished morsel. Well, I got home. It was about 6 or 7 days before I stopped having these random muscles cramp up. And, okay, I figured, I don't know what's going on. I think, and I haven't really gone into this, but I think that there is business that needs to be done between humans and Bigfoot. And I'm thinking that a lot of things I learned in my life and later said, why did I have to learn that? There's that everything goes together to where it makes perfect sense that I'm supposed to be involved in something that needs to happen between Bigfoot and people. But at this point, whoever said Butterfinger, who seemed like a nice guy, certainly wasn't there or didn't do anything to help me. And I figured, well, if Bigfoot thinks I can be treated like that they can just go to hell. And even if this is all my imagination, I have much better things to imagine. So it's been several weeks since then. As a matter of fact, it was the next week that one of the candy bars was turned 90 degrees on the roof. And then it was the week after that they were gone. But all the rocks were still there. And I documented those things. So, you know, what happens next? I don't know. Maybe nothing will ever happen. Maybe something will happen. If anybody there has any suggestions, they're not getting the chance of any more Butterfingers at this point. I figure it's their move, and I figure that if there's a Bigfoot that has the same information I do about what needs to be done, you know, in a kind of a cooperation, then they know it needs to be done. And you know what? They can put something up on the roof, just like I told them. If they want to leave one something, and it would sure be nice if it was, you know, they could really be something beautiful that I could treasure forever. They're there on the river. I'll bet you they know where there's some huge chunks of gold. That'd be nice, you know. But it's like Bigfoot has the next move. Okay? And if I don't know, do I have any need for, I mean, looking back and say, okay, I had put up the gum, and then the gum was gone after a few weeks. Then I put up the, what are those things? Pop-Tart. And the Pop-Tart was gone. Rocks were never moved or anything. And then the book, so things that I put up there were gone. And I think that's significant because I mentioned in another video that there's, you know, these kids that go up there and clean up, if they're in some work program. Well, they give them plastic bags. They don't give them ladders. I have never in all the years seen anybody ever, even in the days when they had all the miners and a lot of crazy hooked up kids that were sort of fun for a while. You know, if they could have climbed up there, that they would have gone woo woo and thought that was real funny. No one's ever done it. You know? So it is significant that those things were off the roof. You know, if the only time I ever saw anything cleaned off that roof was like about 3 years ago when there was a tennis shoe up there. And when they cleaned that off, they cleaned off all the rocks that were there. So the rocks are still there. So, you know, you decide, if you have any suggestions, please tell me, because, you know, when I started thinking of Bigfoot, I mean, even though it's true, it was a true thing that, yes, people say Bigfoot can do these things, and so thinking at him, maybe, you know, something would have happened. But I didn't expect it. I just said, okay, I'll figure out something to do. It's a real test, and nothing comes of it. Hey, how many people are out there with cameras and you don't see any Bigfoot? It's just, that's what research is about. But things did happen. Things, only the things I put up on the roof got removed from the roof. And the things that happened to the camera. The one picture that I took, and the only picture it could have been, is this foggy gray. Things happened. Now, was it Bigfoot? Was there some other, you know, mythical telepathic creature out there that wasn't Bigfoot? I don't know. You decide. And thank you very much for sitting through all of this. And I wish I had a microphone.